Alright guys, this is my first YouTube video, so forgive me for any unprofessionality or poor quality. I really just wanted to put this up because I had a huge issue with my 2007 Dodge Caravan, and I couldn't find any help on it on YouTube or anywhere online on how to get this problem resolved. So I wanted to help anybody who might be having the same issue that I had. In explaining that, I want to show you where we're at. I have finally reached the point where I feel like I can explain this to you because I finally figured out how to do it. So here we are. We've got our water pump is already out, as you can see. If you don't know what this video is about, it's in the description. It's in the title of the video. But this is the water pump housing. Got the water pump here. If you don't know how to remove the water pump and get to this point, there are plenty of videos on that. There's not a single one about what I'm trying to post about, unless it's just hidden in the nether somewhere. Anyway, as you may know, you have to take the serpentine belt off. You've got to unbolt 3 bolts on the brace that holds the water pump in place, and then you've got to remove the water pump. Now I want to show you a little bit behind here. So you've got this, so what you might be experiencing, what I experienced is just a massive leak that was coming down here. It was just, my engine block is completely drained of all coolant. My radiator is completely drained. This is not a trickle leak. This is a complete and total just a leak that is obviously undrivable and parks your car permanently. So you've got this joint here, which comes off of the there's the radiator over there. This is the radiator hose, a tube, and then it goes up in here. And I thought that's where my leak was at first, because all the coolant was coming down and dripping off of here when I was trying to put more coolant in to see where the leak was. So I put a bunch of silicone here, thinking that this O-ring here was corrupted, but that was not the case. The silicone is just kind of worthless. I'm going to have to scrape it all off and reseat this just for shits and giggles real quick. If you care to replace this part, it's really easy. There's just a bolt here, another bolt here, and then you've got to take this clamp off here, right there, and then you've got to pull this out. If you get this at the auto parts store, it's about 40 bucks, 45 bucks. It comes with the O-ring and everything. You just pop that back in, screw that back in, screw that back in, and then put your clamp back on, and you're done. This part is super easy to repair. Unfortunately, that was not what my problem is, or was. The problem I had, let's get under here. The problem I had was this little guy right here. See this? That is called a nipple. So this is the back of your water pump housing. Also the timing chain cover. They're one in the same. They're the same part. The terrible thing is that for this job to be easy, you would have to take this whole timing chain cover off, which is a huge pain in the butt. I believe it involves dropping your motor and then approaching this from the side. It's a job at the dealer that just removing and replacing the timing chain cover is, you know, several $100s just in labor. So let's avoid that. What I did when I discovered that coolant was just pouring down here, I realized that there must be something wrong with this joint. So this was in place, this little and I know this is probably really hard to see, there's no light down here. This, you'll notice when you get under the car, this is what you're going to see. And what I noticed when I wiggled this back and forth, it was wiggling freely because this nipple was completely corroded. It was completely gone. There was like a tiny little piece of metal, a little round circle of metal that was still inside of the hole, and I stuck my finger in and pulled it out, and it was wrapped around my finger like a ring, right on the tip of my finger. That's all that was left of this entire part. So the rest of it has turned into little metal particles that are going through my heater core and going through my radiator. I'm gonna have to do a nice flush to get all of the rusted, this is made of steel, going into aluminum, which is just so stupid. I don't know why they designed the vehicle like this, but it's just one of those things. So anyway, to get to this, what you have to do, you're gonna take your water pump out to get a nice flat surface here, and then you're going to, on this tube takes water from your water pump housing and pumps it into your heater core, which is way over there. So this tube, you're gonna need to get 2 brackets, and I'm gonna have a lot of trouble showing you where these are because I'm literally doing this with my phone. So here's the tube, and there's a bracket here, and then there's another bracket way up on the driver's side, and I'll show you where that is and how you get to it. We're not removing this tube, we're just loosening it up so that we can move it. So here's your heater core, is back here behind the dash. Here's where the liquid comes in on the top from the water pump. Here's that tube that is connected to the back of your water pump housing. And down here, you're gonna have to feel for it. I will not be able to show you. It's a huge pain in the butt to get to. But way down here, there's another bolt you're gonna have to loosen up, and you'll probably scratch your arms all up like I did and start bleeding, and you know, because you got like things like this. That was a nice one. That one kept cutting me. There's also this bolt here that was cutting me. That was, I mean, just tons of fun getting in there, but you will get it. Don't lose hope. That's one of my main things with doing my own auto work, is just feeling sometimes, especially in situations like this, like all is hopeless. But it's not. You will succeed. Anyway, so now we've got this nice and loose, right? So we can move it out of the way. Get the hell out of my way, dude. You are gone. See ya. We'll see you in a little bit. Now, I'm gonna set this here, see if I can get a view. What I actually will do this. This is what I used to fix my vehicle. This is a 6-inch C-clamp. I got it AutoZone for 10 bucks. This is a little frying pan. It still has the sticker on it. I got it for $3 at the thrift store. It's a little iron pan, but you can also use any nice, thick, hard metal you can find that's not going to bend under extreme pressure. And then I did this. Took my frying pan and I put it over the hole of the water pump. And this is going to be hard to show with my camera. Mine even has a little handle that kind of held it in place on this piece here. Right down in there. Kind of held it right in place. It was like perfect. When I found this frying pan, I'd been looking around all day for something to help me get this done. So I got my frying pan here, and then I don't know if you're going to be able to see anything. So I've got my phone. I think kind of in a way that's going to make it work. If not, I'll retake the shot. Anyway, when you get your C-clamp up in here, and you kind of gotta just when you put the nipple in the first time, that nipple, when you put that in, you're gonna want to tap it very lightly with the hammer just to get it to sit there so it's not falling on your face 100 times while you're trying to get the C-clamp in place. And then you just kind of get everything in place where you want it. So kind of like this. So you've got the screwy end of the C-clamp there, and you got plenty of room with that pipe out of the way to twist that. And then you've got the head of it on the head of your nipple here, and then you've got this side of it with the frying pan or whatever piece of metal you can find. And the reason you want to do that, you want to distribute as much of the pressure to as big of a surface area as you can, so you're not doing any damage to the inside components of your water pump housing, because then you'll have a leak that you'll never get rid of. So anyway, you're just gonna twist and twist and twist, and just make sure you got it lined up. It will correct itself to a certain degree because it's a nice hard metal, so it's not gonna bend necessarily. And I'll show you the final product. So you've got in here to where, man, the lighting is just so bad, guys. I don't even know how you can stand this. But again, I'm the only source of information on this apparently, so I've just got to live with it, maybe. Anyway, so you can see that obviously it's still sticking out quite a bit. Approach it from here. So it's still sticking out quite a bit. If you buy this part, and I'll have the part number and where you can buy it listed online on the description. I'm sorry, you can get it online or you can get it at the dealership. It was $15.70 plus tax, $17 even. But you'll notice right here at the bottom, it kind of shrinks a little bit. And that's the part that you want to put in, and then you're going to stop right as it starts to expand. And then this will give you plenty of room to put the tube on and then clamp that down for the water to go out. And then you'll notice up here, oh man, let me get a light. So up here, I guess I could have had a light the whole time. You can see that it's kind of sticking out a little bit. So not much, just a little bit. Plenty of room for it to catch all the water and not leak. You want it all the way in, fully seated, but obviously you don't want to push so hard that you end up cracking this outside aluminum that is your timing chain cover, because again, replacing that is out of the ability of most do-it-yourselfers, and therefore you're going to be taking it to a mechanic or the dealership and paying hundreds of dollars to have that replaced. So don't push too hard. Don't try to go crazy or anything, because you could crack that. I don't know what degree you would have to push to crack this metal in there, but if you did, it would be just a complete nightmare if you ended up cracking the metal around that little thing, that little part that we just installed. You're going to be in a world of hurt. So anyway, once you're done with this, all you've got to do is kind of reverse installation. So you've got your tube, the heater tube, that you're going to need to re-bolt into place, both up here and also again under the hood. And then you're going to put the little connector in between the nipple. If I can find it. This guy. You're going to have to put that back on. There's a clamp on this side. There's going to be a clamp on this side as well. I haven't removed here. And then you're going to put your water pump back in. Again, there's plenty of videos on that. No need to beat a dead horse in this video. And then you're going to reconnect this. The reason I had disconnected this was because it's kind of a pain in the butt to kind of work around in here when you're doing this nipple. So you can obviously, when you're doing this, make sure you have a bucket down here to collect all the water. If your leak was not as bad as mine, but you still have the same problem, and you go to take this out, it's going to pour a bunch of water obviously from the radiator. So anyway, you're going to reinstall this, and then you're going to reseat your serpentine belt, and then obviously at this point you should be drained of fluid. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flush my radiator, and then not just the radiator, the entire cooling system, because I know for a fact that I've got a ton of rust and probably metal pieces and stuff just circulating through my system right now, because that entire part just completely dissolved into my system. So I'm going to do a full flush with just some flush I got at the auto parts store, and then obviously you're gonna have to refill. There's plenty of videos on how to refill your cooling system. Again, most of you guys, if you're doing this job, you're at a point where you can figure all of that out on your own. I just wanted to show you guys this huge pain in the butt job and how to tackle it. If you have any questions, please comment below. Again, I'll have the item number and where you can buy it listed below. It's only $17 at the dealer, so I would just recommend probably getting it there so you don't have to wait on shipping. Yeah, so if you have any questions, please let me know.